Hey everybody, it's Allison. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm excited to have you here today. We're going to be looking at some fun stuff. So I'm just going to say buckle in because it's a longer video than I normally do. But we're going to be looking at a lot of stuff today. Not starting with these two cards, ending with these two cards. Featuring some goodies from Spellbinders and some paper from Your Paper Insider. So here is the latest box from Your Paper Insider. This is box 11, and I've done several videos about them before. This is a subscription-based box. You get a box every quarter, and look at this cute little pin that comes in this box. It says, "I love paper." And you know I love paper, so this is cute. This went on my pin board in my craft room. So let's take a look at the paper in this box. As always, there's a little sheet, kind of a cheat sheet with all the papers, and one side gives a little bit more information about some of the specialty paper. Now this is a glitter gloss, that first paper. This paper, I'm going to go kind of fast. I'm going to stop at some of the ones that I use on my cards today. That was a Luster Diamond Glitter paper. This paper is really pretty. It has teeny tiny little flowers. And this translucent paper, I'm going to put it on different colors so you can see. And by the way, you can slow this video down if you want to slow down and look at some of these papers. It's just a long video, so I'm zooming through some of this. This tie paper with all these beautiful fibers running through it. They've had paper like this before that I've used. I do use this on a card today. Here's some non-shed glitter paper, some lavender paper. This vanilla pearl paper, it's really cool texture and shimmer to it. Here's some more of that tie paper, a lavender color. And you can see when you put it on a dark piece of paper versus a light piece of paper, how different it looks. This double pillars holographic paper is really cool. This is Silver Luster Cadillac paper. I love all their Cadillac paper. This is a really beautiful blue paper. This is the third piece of that tie paper with those beautiful fibers. Again, I'm going to show you the difference of putting it on a white piece of paper versus a dark. And speaking of this dark paper, this is gorgeous. I used this on one of my cards today. This is a white linen paper. Really pretty. This green paper is like that previous one. I used this on one of my cards. This paper I also used today. This is Coffee Cover Reflex. They actually sell this separately as a 10-pack on the website, so people must like it. I love it. I wouldn't mind a 10-pack of this. I love it. This, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I use it on one of my cards. It's kind of lightweight, but it has this beautiful wood grain texture. This is gorgeous, this cocktail shimmer paper. I use this, I think, on both cards today. It's just like the most beautiful color gold, and you can see this compared to that champagne foil cardstock. It's just so brilliant. Just the perfect gold. This paper, I actually use this on my card. It's a really unique off-white color. And then finally, this buttercream, I also use it. It has a really cool texture, although you don't see the texture on my card today, but I know it's there. Look at this paper, and I'm going to show you on different colors of paper. I'm trying to figure out how I want to use this on a card. It's so pretty. And then finally, I'm going to put it over this gold. So that's just tone on tone. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right, and then finally, there's this really cool paper. All right, now this is how I normally store my paper. Each box worth of paper I put in one of these job ticket pockets. This is how I store most of my paper, and this is how they come. I think they're like 12 inches long maybe, and I trim mine down to 11.5 inches. So I cut the end off that has that hole. And so here's some paper from Spellbinders that I'm just starting to put into pockets. And I'm going to show you how I store mine. I store them in these clear magazine files or folders or holders, whatever, on my shelf. This is just some of my paper. Isn't it pretty? So that is how I store most of my paper, and that is how I was storing my Your Paper Insider paper, but I have like a lot of paper. So these are the new stash stacks from Spellbinders. This is the 1-inch, the 8.5 by 11 by 1 inch, and they come, and here's me trying to bend it. They're very strong and sturdy. And I decided I am going to store all of my Paper Insider box paper in here. So that was box 8, I think. And here's box 9. So I'm taking them all out of my job ticket folders because my shelves are getting full. And so here is basically a year's worth of Your Paper Insider paper because I had box 8 through box 11 in there. And then I have another box of like box 6, 7, box 4, and 5 maybe. So now I can I relieved all that room off my shelf and all of my Paper Insider papers all together. Now I'm also using these 1-inch boxes to hold projects. So this is a project that I hope to start on. This is all the paper, Stamperia and Vicky Papayanu. I hope to start this soon. I actually did start it, so hopefully I'll have a video. I don't know. I'm not making any promises. Here's another box that I'm keeping all my Yupo paper, the little foil that I use when I use alcohol inks, just all of my supplies that I'll need for when I use my alcohol inks, and now I can get them out of my drawers or wherever I had them scattered all over the place, but now they're going to be all organized in this one box. All right, so let's look at the next size stash stacks. This is a little bit bigger. It's 2.25 inches. And here it is compared, it's kind of hard to see, but here it is compared to that one that I just showed you, the 1 inch. It's still 8.5 by 11. And here's one thing that I am using this for. So I have all of these packs of this pop-up glitter foam from Spellbinders, and you know that's thick. So it takes up a lot of room, and I'll show you where I had these pop-up sheets, but they come in packs of 2 colors. So I have 3 packs here, the black and white, the blue and purple, and the turquoise and green, and they all fit in this box. Okay, so let's look at the big one. This is the 12 by 12. This comes in a pack of 2, and you can see, of course, I have my beloved patterned paper, my 12 by 12 paper. And here's the most recent paper. So I will show you where I kept all this paper before, but I don't always use the 12 by 12 paper, so it'll be nice to just have it all. And I have some black and white paper at the bottom there. I have tons of room left in this box, by the way. So I went and grabbed all the ephemera that matches some of this paper. You'll recognize some of this. There's some Pooh ephemera there, Winnie the Pooh ephemera there. Now I grabbed some storage envelopes. These are from Simon Says Stamp, and they have a little closure. So up until now, I've been keeping this ephemera in the original packaging, which it's just been a huge pain. So I am now putting all of it by collection into these storage envelopes. And you'll see when I turn it upside down, they're not going to fall out. And now it's just going to be much easier to find stuff, and I'm going to store it with the paper. All right, so here's some 12 by 12 paper, and I'm going to show you how I've been storing this. I store this vertically. I'm going to pull this up. So I store this vertically in a drawer, and these are the multi-purpose bins from the Container Store. This is the small size. I also have a medium size in my drawer. And I put them in I have an Alex drawer unit from IKEA, the file cabinet at the bottom. So here you can see how I store those. And look at all the space I freed up. So those 2 empty bins, I emptied. There was that glitter foam. There was, a bunch of that 12 by 12 paper. And to the right, you'll see my Tim Holtz drawer. That's my Alpha. I have a set of Alpha baskets under there. So we'll see what we do with that drawer in a minute. But here's another 12 by 12 box. I'm going to store all my watercolor paper in here. And again, that watercolor paper was in that drawer that I just showed you. So here's another little pocket thing. These are clear project files from the Container Store. These are not as thick as those job ticket folders. And you can see how they open. They open on 2 sides. So they don't hold as much paper, but they do hold, like I have this little Spellbinders pack of watercolor paper. So those fit in there. So these are good for small amounts of paper. Now I have this black watercolor paper that I have in half sheets. I don't know if this was from Hero Arts. I don't know what this is from, but I use these half sheet cardstock sleeves from Simon. You can see they're open at the top. They're very sturdy, but they don't hold a ton, but they're great for things like this. And again, they're really sturdy. Now I'm also going to throw in some metallic watercolors in there. And here's my Waffle Flower large water media mat, and it folds, in half or rolls up. And I can put all of this together and put it away. Now here is my Tim Holtz nightmare oven. Not that Tim Holtz is a nightmare, but my drawer is a nightmare. I can never find anything. I have so much stuff. So I'm going to use this medium size. It's the 2.25 inch. I'm going to organize this. I'm just going to grab all the holiday stuff and get it out of there. So anything holiday, I'm going through this huge drawer, and I'm just kind of in the process of organizing. I don't have time to take the 5 days necessary to organize my craft room, so it's a little bit at a time. And these bins have really helped. And obviously you need room to put these stash stacks. I'm lucky that I have room in our front hall closet, which isn't far from my office. We also have a finished basement that has lots of storage space. So I'm encroaching everywhere in our house. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's get to some cards. So here is the paper that I'm going to use on the first card. I showed you, I mentioned when I was showing you the box of paper what I was going to use. So this is the first card, and that beautiful this is all from Spellbinders. The sunflower is from the Sunflower Serenade, and I just grabbed some other florals from my stash. So I used this stem from the Autumn Sealed Sprigs. I used another stem from a set that I think might be retired now, the Sealed Wildflowers. And then even the flowers I grabbed from a different set. The teeny tiny flowers there from the Mini Fall Blooms. I always have fun digging through my floral stash from Spellbinders. And so this twine here, the Field Notes twine, that came out last month, I think April. And it comes in all these pieces. So you can kind of tie the bow or put the bow together any way you want. So here's that beautiful textured paper. And I used this landscape edge. This comes from a set with, I think there's 3 total edge pieces in there. it's like the hill die, I guess. And here's that beautiful wood grain paper. And so I'm not going to show you how I assembled it, but it's pretty obvious. This sentiment is from the Holding Your Heart sentiments. I think that came out last month as well. It's a plate, like a lot of their press plates. There's a bunch of sentiments on the one plate, but I just foil one at once when I want to, and then I can just die cut it as well. All right, so here is the finished card, and I think it's so sweet. I did scatter some gold pearls. And look at that flower with that gorgeous Mai Tai cocktail shimmer paper. It is just gorgeous. Now here is the next card that we're going to be making. And I'm going to start with the BetterPress. Now it's kind of like saran wrap that I tape to my plate just to keep it clean. And here is a new BetterPress plate. This is the script text. This is part of the new Lisa Horton collection this month, May. And I'm going to put it down on the BetterPress. And I'm using Peach Fuzz from Pinkfresh Studio. I think I've told you before, I'm quite happy with how Pinkfresh ink works on BetterPress plates. And I'm using Alabaster cardstock from Spellbinders. I'm going for kind of a tone-on-tone look. I didn't want the text to be really dark. So here's what it looks like. It's really just a very sweet, small text or script. And while I was at it, I'm also going to stamp some other sentiments. These are the Real Color sentiments. This is from the Take Note collection this month. And I'm just going to use the black ink that comes with the BetterPress. And we're going to ink this up. Now, eventually for this card, I decided not to use the black on white. But I like usually inking these up on white paper and having them in my stash for quick sentiments for cards. So when I take this off, I will decide to stamp it a second time, and that's the great thing about the BetterPress, because that plate is being held by basically magnets. It's not going to move. I can re-stamp it, and it's not going to mess up. It's kind of like the Misty in that sense. So I'm going to put that through a second time, and here's the result. You can see it's darker. And once I decided to use the You Make Every Moment Golden sentiment, I hadn't really decided at the time, I decided to hot foil that sentiment. All right, here are the papers from the box that I'm going to be using on this card. And I told you I was going to be using that tie paper with those gorgeous fibers. And of course, that gorgeous Mai Tai cocktail shimmer is going to make another appearance. All right, so these are just really beautiful. So let's see what we're going to make. All right, so here is the panel with that script BetterPress plate. And you can see I cut little leaves from that tie paper. I'm not going to try to pronounce what that paper was called. Let's just call it tie paper with the fibers. All of these florals, by the way, are from the Floral Spray Die Set. I believe that came out last year, and they're really pretty. So here are all the sentiments to the side that I cut out with the dies, and now I can have them in my stash. All right, these are the Torn Paper Edges dies, these two long dies here. And there's a third die in the set that creates kind of like a torn notebook edge. So here's what that looks like. But we're just going to use these two. And my idea was to put the flowers in the corner and then have these torn edges kind of angle up from there up to the right corner. So I ended up trimming my panel and then making that first cut. And I'm going to keep making torn cuts because I want several to go across the page. So I'm just randomly placing the dies, and there's 2 dies to choose from. So I don't want all of the torn edges to look the same. So sometimes I'll flip it over. I'll use the other one, you know, just to make it look a little bit different. But at the same time, I am still kind of keeping that angle. Not the exact angle. You'll see I don't want it to be completely parallel lines. So here's the last cut that I'm going to make. And I'm not really taping the die to my paper. I'm just lifting it up and taking it to the die machine. If it moves a little bit, it's no big deal. So here's what we have so far. So I decided the first thing I thought to do was to just ink up the edges. You see me do this a lot with my old little ink daubers. And so I did that on all the pieces. And I thought about kind of popping them up on foam tape over each other, but then the text wouldn't be in line with each other. So I decided to pull out my Lunar paste. This is slippery when wet, and look at the color compared to this gorgeous cocktail shimmer paper. So what I decided to do was just put some on my glass board. This is my glass board studio board. And I'm just picking it up with my finger. This paste is so easy to clean. I'm not worried about it getting on my finger. And I'm just gonna dab it along the edges, but I'm not being careful. It's not supposed to be perfect. The only thing that I did take care in doing is making sure that it wasn't clumping up on the back. And at the end, I also made sure that there weren't too many clumps on the edges where the papers were going to meet, because I am going to glue all this paper down. And I do want all the edges to kind of, you know, go back together. So here you can see I'm even making things a little bit less perfect looking. So here's what we have. And I don't know. It's not, I still don't know if it's what I pictured, what I had planned, but it is kind of what it is at this point. So here I'm gluing it to an A2 sized card base. And you can see some of the pieces are bigger. They're hanging over the edges. So I'm just going to take my guillotine trimmer and trim off that excess. I could have used the scissors, but using the guillotine just makes it so much cleaner. All right, so here's what we have. And now it's just a matter of, well, I also splattered some gold metallic paint. Remember, I put my gold metallic paint in one of my new stash stacks, so I remembered about it, because usually I forget about it. All right, here I decided I wanted to matte this card. So I remember I had already attached it to a card base, so I'm gonna cut off the front flap of that card base and put it on this gold mat, but I don't want to use all this paper. So I am cutting out a lot, as much as I can, to save this paper to use for something else. I only need the outer edge for you to see the mat on the card. So, and there is the mat, there is the card. I ended up trimming down that card base that I had created, and I went ahead and glued all my flowers. I popped up the sentiment on some foam tape, and I think it's really beautiful. The colors, I think, are just really unique, and it's just different. I know it's been a long one. If you're still with me, thank you. I appreciate having you here as always. If you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Thanks for being here. Bye.